if I go out there and ask any random person who has gained a lot of fat and who wants to lose fat, that what would you do if you want to lose fat? The simple answer from majority of the people that I would get 8 out of 10 times is I would stop eating carbs. I would stop eating sugar. I would stop eating rice. And these are the common answers. We are somehow made to believe that carbohydrates are the bad food. Carbohydrates are leading us to fat gain. Carbohydrates are creating the problem of obesity, and carbohydrates are the problem. But this is farther from the truth, my friend. Actually, what has happened in last few years or a few decades, sugar consumption has actually gone down, but the rate of obesity has gone up, the rate of diseases has gone up, which is a direct indicator that sugar is not creating all of these problems. So what is something that is creating all of these problems? But if you are someone like me who loves eating carbohydrates and still want to stay lean, want to perform at their peak, want to have a great physique throughout the year without leaving or without running away from carbohydrates, then this episode is for you, my friend. As always, Vinay here, lecturer of exercise science at NSA India, a body transformation and a performance coach. Here to make your transformation journey easier, faster, and enjoyable. And in today's episode, we are going to talk about, are carbs actually our enemy or our friend? I would say carbs are actually a friend, my friend. They are not our enemy at all. Okay, because first let's talk about what actually makes us to gain fat, and are carbs the reason to gain fat? Before getting into that topic, let us understand what fat actually is. Fat is just the stored form of energy for our body, my friend. Because there were time back in the days, 1000 years back, we did not had so many modern amenities. There were no podcasts, there were no refrigerators, there were no mobile phones, Swiggy, Zomato, Uber Eats, where we could get food very readily. Okay, we had to go for hunts, and some days we would get a big hunt and we would have a lot of food, and some days we would not have any food. But there were no ways of preserving the food that we have had. Okay, so the only way that we could survive was to get or to have enough supply of energy for our body. So on the days when we had a lot of food, we ate a lot of food. And on the days we did not had a lot of food, the body had to create some ways where on the days when we had more food, the body could store the food within the body itself, because there were no other means to store food anywhere else. If we just left the food to eat tomorrow, there would be some other predator who would take away the food, and the food would be no more for you tomorrow. Okay, so the body developed a mechanism of storing fat. Storing fat is nothing but the extra energy that our body has stored, just so that you could stay safe if tomorrow you don't get food to eat. Tomorrow if there's starvation, tomorrow if you were not able to hunt, tomorrow you did not get any hunt, tomorrow you did not get any food, the body would use the stored form of energy, which is fat, to keep you alive. So fat is not actually something that we should be shying away from or running away from, or we should be something very critical about fat. Fat is just a safety mechanism which was developed by our body to keep ourselves alive back in the days. But the body hasn't actually evolved after that so much that it has understood that now we don't need a lot of stored fat because food is very readily available. So till the time our body, the system gets updated, let's learn how to use this system in a way where it does not cause any harm to us. So now we have understood that fat is just stored form of energy for us. Okay, so now once we have understood this, let us understand how this energy is actually stored. Now energy, there is a unit of energy called as calories. As simple as that. Calories is just a unit of energy. We should not be running away from, no, this is high calorie, low calorie, all of those. Calorie is just a unit of energy. Okay, now what regulates our weight gain or fat gain is a law of thermodynamics called as the energy balance equation. What does the energy balance equation say is, if we keep everything else common and we are eating 2000 calories, we are burning 2000 calories. The body has enough calories to keep on doing the function it does. Okay, there are some things that our body does subconsciously, which is like thinking about, means the brain is running, all of the internal organs are running, digestion system is there, you are speaking, you're walking, you're moving, you're doing a lot of stuff throughout the day. Subconscious activities, conscious activities like exercising, running, walking, doing all of the stuff, conscious activities. Okay, so our body requires energy to do all of these activities, and doing all of these activities takes up energy. So suppose your body is burning 2000 calories and you are eating 2000 calories. Now you are burning away all of the calories that you are eating, so the body does not have extra calories that it could store in the form of fats. Okay, but what happens is, the day you start eating 2500 calories and burn only 2000 calories, now you have 500 extra calories. Your body is very efficient, your body will not waste any of the calories that it is getting. So what your body will do is, it will try to store the extra calories in the body itself. And what is the stored form of energy for us? The fats. So these 500 calories will get stored as fats in our body. But there would also be days when you would not get enough food to eat. Those will be the days when you would be just eating 1500 calories and burn 2000 calories. On those days, what the body will do is, where would it get the 500 extra calories from if it is, if not getting from the food that we are eating? These are the days when the body will tap into the energy stored in our body, that is fat, and burn that fat for fuel to keep you alive. That is how we gain weight. That is how we lose weight. As simple as that. Okay. There is nothing to overcomplicate this, and this is as simple as I just now discussed. Okay. So this is as simple as that. So how will carbohydrates affect fat gain or fat loss? Now, carbohydrate is one of the macronutrient. Macronutrients are the nutrients that gives us energy. There are two more macronutrients: protein and fats. Protein, fats, and carbohydrates are three primary macronutrients. Okay. What our body does is, whenever we are eating carbs or protein or fats, our body is getting calories. The calories are just unit of energy. We are getting energy from the food that we are eating. Now let's be very realistic, right? We need energy to survive. Okay, food is the only source of energy. We are not robots that a pin will go inside and we will get charged and we'll get energy. Or we are not like Jadoo from Koi Mil Gaya, who will sit in sun and be like dhoop, and the sun will recharge the batteries and we will get energy. We need to eat food to survive, my friend. We need energy to survive, and eating food is the only way we get energy from. Okay, so these three macronutrients, every food, now you take an example of chapati, eggs, milk, dal, rice, chicken, whatever, every food will have all of these three in some or the other quantities. There are some foods that are higher in some macronutrients and lower in the others. There are some other foods that are higher in some other macronutrients and lower in some other. Okay, just like take an example about meat, eggs, all of these things, they are higher in protein, lower in fat, and lower in carbohydrates. Then take example about fruits. Fruits are higher in carbohydrates, lower in protein, lower in fat. Now take example of oil, ghee, butter, all of these things, they are higher in fats and they are lower in protein, lower in carbohydrates. So there are different kinds of foods available to us that are higher in one kind of macronutrient and lower in other. Then there are a lot of other foods that are somehow equivalent in all of the three. Just like eggs are great source of protein but are also good source of healthy fats, but also contain a little bit of carbohydrates. Then milk is also amazing source of protein, good source of fat, good source of carbohydrates as well. So there are plenty of amazing food available out there which will give us energy while giving us some quantity of carbs, some quantity of protein, some quantity of fat. So is carb the thing that we should be running away from, or should we be avoiding carbohydrates completely? The answer is no, my friend. The problem with carbohydrates is, majority of the times carbohydrate sources are very easy to overconsume. Okay, now this comes under the category of hyper palatable food. Now not just the sugar part. Okay, sugar and rice. Now if I would just give you like a cooker full of rice, like 2 kilo or 2 liters of rice, whatever the unit, take it 2 kg 2 kg of rice and a spoon, will you be able to eat that rice? How many tablespoons of rice you would be able to? But in the same rice, if you would add in spices, if you would add in butter, spices, and make it like a pulao, make it like a biryani and something, it would be very easy to overeat. It would be very difficult for you to resist the temptation of eating this. Same thing with sugar. If I would give you a 2 kg box of sugar with a tablespoon and I'll tell you to go and eat sugar, how much sugar will you be able to eat in this case? But same way, if I add in a lot of ghee to it, if I add in maida to it, I deep fry it and make gulab jamuns of it, or make pastries out of it, or make breads and biscuits out of it, would that become very easy to overeat? Yes. So what happens is, carbohydrates on its own are not bad, but the food sources that are hyper palatable. Hyper palatable means the foods that are very difficult to resist, very easy to overconsume, they lack nutrients, the mouthfeel is great, they look great, they taste amazing. That is why they're very easy to overconsume. Our body does not actually sense that we have had enough. Now, take an example about apple. Eating apple and drinking apple juice. To make 1 glass of apple juice, 250 ml approximately, you will need 4 apples. When was the last time you even thought of eating 4 apples in a single sitting? We don't do that, right? Now, same example with bananas. You could eat 2 bananas, sometimes you could even eat 3 bananas. If you're too hungry, you could eat 4 bananas. Okay, no problem at all. Easy to eat bananas. But when we talk about banana chips, okay, one packet of 200 grams of banana chips would take almost 4 to 8 bananas. Okay, but even after eating the entire 250 gram of banana chips, will you feel that now I am full and I don't need any food? But rather think of eating 2 bananas, 2 whole bananas, and you would naturally be full. Your body will sense the signal that you have had enough food and now you don't need a lot of food. This is what creates problem. This is what gives carbohydrates a bad notion that carbohydrates lead to fat gain. But it is the other way around. It is the hyper palatable food that does not actually signal the body, the brain, that we have had enough food and it's time to stop. These hyper palatable foods, just like I told you, they are very easy to overconsume, difficult to resist, gives a very good mouthfeel, are very amazing to see, amazing taste. The smell of the food is like fantastic, and that makes us overeat. They're devoid of nutrients. They're devoid of nutrients when very rarely they would contain a lot of protein, very rarely they would contain fiber, very rarely they would contain any other micronutrients like vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, and a lot of those things. And that is why our body somehow does not detect that we have had enough food. And that's why we just keep on eating, we just keep on eating, and we are still hungry even after eating a lot of these hyper palatable foods. And what the hyper palatable foods are doing is they are also giving us a lot of calories, and these calories are going inside the body. We would not be able to burn all of these calories, and what will happen with the extra calories in the body is they will get converted as fats. That is the simplest solution to the obesity problem, to the problem of fat gain, to the problem of increase in diseases and a lot of these things. And this is the simple solution to stop doing all of these things, is to avoid hyperpalatable foods in the first place. Because even if you think that I am exercising, I'm working out for 2 hours, I'm doing cardio, I'm doing yoga, I'm doing Zumba, I'm doing HIIT and strength training and everything, it is very difficult to outburn the calories from a bad diet. It is very easy to eat 500 calories, but it is very, very difficult to burn the calories, burn the 500 calories. Okay, to eat 500 calories, you can just eat like 2 samosas and you will get 500 calories. But to burn those 500 calories, you will need 2 strength training sessions. You will need to like do cardio for like 2.5 hours at moderate to high intensity. That will lead you to burning 500 calories, which is difficult. And eating 2 samosas is like very easy. You could even eat 3 samosas. Then would you be able to work out for 3 hours to burn the 750 calories that you have had from just 3 samosas? And you are not going to stop at 3 samosas. The 3 samosas are just snacks. With those 3 samosas, you will also drink Coke, you will also drink something else, and that is just a snack meal from you, apart from your lunch, apart from your dinner, apart from your breakfast. Because those are the things that you will again you are still gonna eat 2000 extra calories. So how are you going to burn all of those calories from exercise? So just forget about burning the calories from the bad diet. If your goal is to lose fat, if your goal is to reduce weight, focus on the nutritional aspect of it. Okay, if you don't even consume these many calories in the first place, you won't have to think about burning the calories in the second place. Okay, you will be exercising to because it makes you look good, it will help you to build muscle, it will help you to get a lean and a toned physique, it will help you to form better connection with the people, it will help you to get stronger, it will help your bones, your ligaments, tendons. The chances of you falling down will go down. There are hundreds of amazing reasons to work out, but burning calories is like the last reason that you should work out. Okay, so this is what leads to fat gain. This is how the fat gain is caused by hyperpalatable foods. Now hyperpalatable foods aren't only carb sources. They contain carbs, but they also contains a lot of fat, and they're majority of the times devoid of protein. There could be good protein sources that could be hyperpalatable as well. Now you take KFC bucket, okay, good meat, chicken breast and everything, but then again they are deep fried. The chicken is very tender, the spices and everything, the dips and the sauces and everything makes even chicken hyper palatable. And again, even if we are consuming good lean protein source, but it in hyper palatable form, and if we are consuming more calories even from protein or from fats or from carbohydrates, extra calories is what is gonna get stored, and that is what is gonna get stored and get formed as fats. Now if it is coming from carbohydrates, the extra calories will still get stored as fat. If the extra calories are coming from fats, it would still get stored as fats. If the extra calories are coming from protein, it would still get stored as fats. As simple as that. Okay, the body does not differentiate between, now if I would eat extra carbs, then only I would store them as fat. If I would eat extra fat, I would not store them. If I would eat extra protein, I would not store them as fat. It does not happen like that. If you are eating 2000 calories from any food source, if you are not burning that many, the extra calories in the body are going to get stored as fats. Okay, although there have been few researches that have done on overfeeding studies. Overfeeding studies means people were eating 2000 calories and they were eating slightly extra calories from specifically carb sources, specifically fat sources, specifically protein sources. So here what the researchers found was the fat gain due to extra calories from fat tend to lead to slightly more fat gain than the two. Carbohydrates was second on the list, where if the extra calories were coming from fat, the fat gain was still there, but not as much as it was from the fat sources. And the third was the protein, where the fat gain wasn't very significant as compared to carbs and fat overfeeding. Okay, so no matter what you are eating in extra quantities, if the calories are going beyond your maintenance calories, that means beyond the calories that your body is burning throughout the day, the extra calories have a tendency to get stored as fats. Protein has a lot of different characteristics, like it makes you full, it keeps you full for longer, so rather it reduces your hunger, reduces your craving in the further meals, and overall throughout the day the food consumption goes down. There is one more characteristic called as thermic effect of food, where to digest protein it takes more energy and it takes more effort, so the body has to burn a lot more energy there itself to digest the protein itself. So we are not actually getting the calories, the entire calories that we would be getting from the protein. So these are a few. Then again, your metabolism is slightly higher if you're strength training, if muscles in the body are there, muscles are still metabolically active tissues. Metabolically active tissues will burn more calories even at rest. So there are these benefits of eating higher protein that could help us to lose fat as well. So that is why keeping your protein on a higher scale is always recommended, and you would have heard that from me from like every episode that I've uploaded so far. But this episode is about carbohydrates. Okay, so overeating carbohydrates is definitely going to make you gain fat. But what if we are burning 2000 calories and just eating 2000 calories? Here it would not matter if the calories are coming from fat or carbs or protein. The body will not store them as fat because your body is needing them to stay alive, to burn, because your body is requiring so many calories to stay alive, to do all of the activities and everything. Okay, so your body won't be storing any fat here. But then we can strategically include carbohydrates in our meals in a way where the performance could be enhanced, where the sleep could be enhanced, recovery could be enhanced, muscle mass could be enhanced. Okay, so you would have seen a lot of times athletes on the field, Virat Kohli, MS Dhoni, all of the tennis athletes, every athlete on the field eating bananas during their sport or whenever they're resting between their sets and things like that. Banana is a complete carb source. All the fruits are carb sources. Why don't these athletes gain fat? Athletes have ripped physiques, like amazing, most incredible physiques. Why don't these guys gain fat? Rather, they perform better after eating bananas, because our body could store glucose. Okay, glucose is the second energy source for our body. Just like fats have an unlimited storage in our body, glucose is a limited store in our body and is used for quick energy release. Fats are slow energy release. Okay, glucose is quick energy release. Whenever we need energy quickly, glucose is something that the body would take energy from. Okay, so glucose, there are three places where the glucose could be stored. One is blood glucose, second is liver glycogen, third is muscle glycogen. So glycogen is just compactly stored glucose molecules. Okay, so these glucose molecules could be stored in our liver, could be stored in our muscle, and the glucose is always circulating throughout our blood. Okay, that is called as blood glucose. So whenever we need energy quickly, the body takes up glucose, burns it as energy and uses it as energy to perform the functions that we want. Okay, all of the exercises, majority of them, strength training, all of the anaerobic exercises, sport, then strength training, all of running, jogging, all of these things takes up glucose as their primary energy source. Fats are used when the intensity of the exercises is less. When we are into an aerobic state, when we are breathing enough oxygen, when there is enough oxygen available for the working muscle, for the body, we could use fat as the primary fuel source. But both of the fuel source are technically used every time in the body. It is just that one fuel source is dominant, the other one is not. Okay, so high intensity activities, want to play a sport, want to do high intensity lifts and everything, glucose is gonna get used. So if we eat glucose, or not glucose, carbohydrates, glucose is also a form of carbohydrate, simple carbohydrate. Okay, if we eat a carb source before we go and train, before we play a sport, then we would be able to use this glucose readily. Body will have enough energy which is readily available to use, and this will lead us to higher performance, better sport, better everything, and we would be having a better chance of winning the medals and everything. Okay, so carbohydrates in pre-workouts are like amazing, fantastic options. Okay, but it is not necessarily true that we should always have carbohydrates as a pre-workout, because if you are working out in the morning, if you have your sport event early morning and you don't have time before that to have your carbohydrates, because again it would take time to digest and get digested, absorbed, and then it would get released as blood glucose. Okay, so if you are not having that much of time, preloading carbohydrates, means having carbohydrates for dinner, would also keep your blood glucose higher, get the energy stored inside your muscles and your liver, that could be readily used to enhance your performance. Okay, so carbohydrates is definitely something that you should be focusing on if your goal is to improve performance. Okay, apart from that, carbohydrates in the dinner have also shown to enhance sleep. Because of higher insulin, there is an amino acid called as tryptophan fights with other amino acids to cross the blood brain barrier. It could get into the brain. There, the insulin, due to the rise in insulin, all of the other amino acids could be shuffled into the bloodstreams, shuffled into the cells, tryptophan going to the brain, and here it could get converted to serotonin. Serotonin could then get converted to melatonin. Melatonin is our sleep hormone. So having moderate carbohydrates at your dinner can also help you to get better sleep. Now, we have all had these instances where we have had a big biryani at dinner, and that has made us sleepy as hell. We have had a big lunch, and out of middle of nowhere we are in the office and everything, and we are still feeling sleepy. Has this happened with you? This has happened with me a lot, and this is the reason: increase in insulin, and then again serotonin, tryptophan going into the blood brain barriers, and serotonin, melatonin. That is what leads us to sleep as well. So once the sleep is sorted, quality of sleep, hours of sleep is good, your body will have a better hormonal profile. Better hormonal profile would do everything better. Better energy levels, your body will preserve a lot more muscle mass, will drop a lot more fat if you are in a calorie deficit. And this is how carbohydrates could actually help us to get better results in our transformation and performance journey. Okay, what are the root causes of fat gain? According to me, they are hyper palatable food and lack of physical activity. Are carbohydrates bad? Are carbohydrates the enemy? According to me, they are not. Okay, but rather we could strategically use carbohydrates in such a way where they could help us to enhance performance and speed up the transformation results. That was all about today's episode, my friend. This was the only information that you would need about carbohydrates. I would go into more detail about how much carbohydrates, which time, which type of carbohydrates, and all of those things in later episodes, because that would be too much of a technical detail for everyone to understand. For all of the athletes, for all of my coaches, students, all of those things, I teach them at the other levels, and there I go into a lot of detail. But I think the podcast is for everyone to understand, and if you just take these many things in consideration, you would be much better off. That's about today's episode, my friend. If you got some value out of it, if you learned something new out of it, do let me know in the comments below, or you could also drop me a text on Instagram. I am as fitness engineer Vinay, and I would be happy to know your comment and your responses. As always, Vinay here, signing off. Bye.